I can't believe what we just saw.
When summertime comes around, everyone dreams of the Pacific Coast Highway, running up and down next to the ocean, windows down and enjoying the California sun. Well, tonight we're not quite in the picturesque California everyone dreams of, but we're very much enjoying the sun in Fontana. For the Outsider Racing League, it's race 18 of the season, marking the start of a 5-round chase that will take us to the end of the season. Next week, we'll head to Martinsville, the smallest track in the schedule, but not before tackling Auto Club Speedway, one of the biggest. And it will be a big win for any chase driver taking home a checkered flag on this 2-mile behemoth. Welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney and DeCuna as we begin round number 18 of the Outsider Racing League season. We're 5 rounds away from the end of the year, Finney, and it's been a long, multi-month battle. We've assembled our chase drivers with the yellow banners, yellow spoilers, and yellow splitters, and they're all going to go for gold here this afternoon at Fontana, California.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to get this race underway. A large departure from what we were doing earlier in the day. We were doing F1 action around Road America here. Back to some stock cars, good old stock cars here at Fontana, ready to get these guys underway. We've seen some crazy races, especially, this newer package has been very divisive at certain tracks. It's been pretty good, all things considered, at Auto Club. So looking forward to see these guys in these giant packs fanning out across this track, 3, 4, and even if we're lucky, maybe even 5 wide.
Yeah, I think we're going to see plenty of all of that here as we enter qualifying for this evening. And again, qualifying at Fontana, at least in recent times, has not been super important because of the aerodynamic situation we've got on these cars. They refuse to say the word package because we've said that about 1,000 times this year, and I'm sort of sick of that. So as we tackle this racetrack tonight, we'll have a look here at some track facts about Auto Club Speedway, one of the newer tracks on the schedule, constructed in 1996. So it's not been around for too long here, Finney, but it does have a road course on the interior that is not quite suitable for stock car racing, so we'll be on the oval here tonight. Fontana's got a population of 215,000 people in the local area, but very industrial in the area we are in here tonight. 4 turns, 2 miles, a very, very big racetrack, pretty much flat out on new tires. As the tires wear, you're going to have to lift, especially when you're in the dirty air of the driver in front. Parody of this track was used in the Pixar film Cars back in 2006, and it was probably a little bit better of a racetrack there than it is in the real world. But we're time to qualify now. Again, my name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney and DeCuna, and a couple drivers have already laid down times. One of them, Adam Cabot in the 77. A couple drivers making some notable changes here. Angelo Ronis in a Ford Mustang this week in the number 11.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been in a Mustang for quite a while.
Oh, has he? I feel like he's run something different lately, but he's
it's a different paint scheme on the car. He had a gray, just kind of generic Ford Performance paint scheme before. Now I think that's probably the big change. He actually still got Ford Performance on the hood of that thing.
In my defense, I haven't been here in a couple weeks, so
yeah, because we had that off week, and then you're also not here for most part, which is an interesting race, but Ronis has been running pretty well, and of note is the only Ford Mustang of our playoff drivers. Everyone else in a Toyota or a Chevy, and there are indeed a lot of Chevys in that mix.
So you're going to note on the playoff drivers here tonight, Orel's done an excellent job of kind of marking everybody. We're going to see right here the big yellow banner on the top of the windshield, the yellow splitter here, and the yellow spoiler out back. That is what denotes our chase drivers here this evening. And we've got a handful of drivers that are running really solid in qualifying right now that are not chase drivers. There's Steve Turner in the 22. He's up in 3rd. Elliott Butler goes 2nd quick in his chase car, the number 6 Chevrolet. Alex Bell, 4th best. He's going to loop it around in the front straight. Angelo Ronis, we already mentioned. Yusuf Ghali in the 54. This has been the biggest conundrum of late here, Finney. And he had a miserable mid-season and now has to mount quite the effort on Connor Horn here in the closing stages of the season.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, he had some okay races, but his last one was all the way back in Texas in March. It's been a bit of a dry spell in the win department for him, and even the last 3 finishes too have not been really where you would expect this driver to be running. He had 21st, 12th, and 20th the last 3 weeks, so I think he's hoping to turn that back in the right direction, especially now that the finishes really are going to start to matter now with the playoffs and the points reset.
So Zach Halpern comes across the start-finish line, not in the chase this season. It has been a miserable season for both the Downey Enterprises cars, although in practice they were the quickest drivers on the board, and Tim Downey qualified top 10 so far tonight. Zach Halpern still out on the racetrack. A few drivers will not get times in, but including Halpern. But I'd say that at least based on their practice speeds, they're in a better spot than they were the previous parts of the season.
Yeah, I honestly do hope that they start to kick it back in the right gear, because it's rough to miss it. It's sad missing them at the top of the standings. They both did really well towards the end of last season, and especially for Tim Downey Jr. Not importantly, not one of those playoff drivers who will not be able to defend his title from last season.
Look at the sky. Look how beautiful this is as the golden California sun begins to set here at Auto Club Speedway. And we're going to get down to the racetrack here in just a moment. But let's just enjoy this. This is a beautiful sight. I will say that of all the complaints and frustrations I have with iRacing, lately the graphical adjustments, tanking performance have been very, very pretty looking, including the sky haze that they've had.
Look off the back of Tim Downey Jr. real quick before more guys start to grow. Look at that.
That is very, very nice looking. So while we're oogling over the sights in the sky, we'll head down to the racetrack. Let's roll through our starting lineup here tonight, Finian. On the front row, going to be Adam Cabot's number 77. He's picked up a couple race wins this season. We'll see if he can do it again. Elliot Butler starts in second in the number 6.
Steve Jones, surprisingly good qualifying effort out of the 22 machine, going to line up in third place. Next to him, Andrew Ronas, the highest place for it, in fourth.
In fifth place, Alex Bell, the number 15, and AJ Stravato starts sixth in the number 33.
Estrada's been on a bit of a hot streak as of late. Bailey Turner going to line up in the 24 in 7th place. Next to him in 8th, Brian Cham is going to line up in the 9 car.
In 9th place on the inside of row number 5, Connor Horns, number 3, and Tim Downey Jr. in the 25 starts in 10th.
Back in 11th, we find Jeff Wright lined up in the 40. Next to Casey Conisco qualifying effort for the 50 car in 12th place.
In 13th, Reggie Ortega starts in the number 2 car on the inside of row 7, and Caleb Weekly starts 14th in the number 10.
Bryce Clues are going to line up in 15th place in the 20 machine. Next to him in the 21 car, it's going to be Eddie Trejo, rounding out your drivers that have put down a qualifying time.
Then Yusuf Ghali, Zach Halpern, 17th and 18th. Again, drivers that did not lay down a time in qualifying. We'll let the rest of this order scroll along the bottom of the screen. Why don't you think that he put in a time? Does it just not matter, or are you just trying to stay out of trouble? What's the goal here?
I think it really depends on what these drivers want to do. Obviously, as you're saying, if you want to stay out of trouble, you might want to, maybe you lift off a little bit at the start, maybe drop just a little bit back, just to kind of, again, keep yourself out of harm's way, just in case things do go awry. So we'll have to see how that's going to play out for guys like Ghali and Halpern, because they're kind of lined up midfield. I'm sure they would have liked to be a little bit more further in the back than that, but we'll see if that does play out. Again, the 54, not the greatest last few weeks, so he's going to try to turn that around here, especially again now that the playoffs have started. Everyone's going to be trying to chase down one driver in particular, and that's Connor Hornets. He's got a 12-point lead over Yusuf Ghali, and just due to the amount of wins he has. Again, 7 wins this season for that 3 car.
Well, it's not a significant points lead. It's pretty easy to have that lead get erased pretty quickly, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful, especially at a racetrack like this where things can go so wrong so quickly. We've seen Fontana be a very wild race in seasons past. We had last lap crashes and all sorts of chaos the last time we were out here at Fontana, so looking forward to this tonight. Going to be 90 laps is the race length. Again, if you want to watch live timing and scoring, you can go to our website, simtvbroadcasting.com/timing. To view everything in real time, to follow your favorite drivers and teams as we head off into turn number 3. 25 cars strong here at ORL in the 18th race of the season. Adam Cabot, 77. He's been to victory lane a few times this season. We'll see if he can repeat this time in Fontana. And shade on one side of the racetrack, full golden light on the other. Track surface temperature is going to be wildly different from one side to the other. Pace car going to peel off. Flag is in the hands of the starter. Fontana, California Outsider Racing League, 5 races in the chase, and it all begins now. The 2-mile Auto Club Speedway is green. Green flag flies, and we're racing in California for the chase in Outsider Racing League.
Oh, and a huge block from the 15 on the front straightaway. It's something you see on a late race restart where you saw going to turn 1, and drivers already a little bit annoyed with one another.
Field streaming through turns 1 and 2, and Adam Cabot leads the way as they exit the second corner onto the back straightaway for the first time. Side by side behind him, Steve Turner has a look to the inside of Angelo Ronas, but Ronas goes around him. And double wide in the midfield, there is the 54 of Yusuf Ghali, who's got work to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a big decision here. Does he decide to lay back a little bit here on the start? Is he going to try to push forward and push up through the traffic to get himself to the front?
And the field very quickly going to string themselves out. The track temperature is pretty cool, so it's going to mean that we're going to have a lot of grip available to these drivers. The problem is you're also going to have drivers kind of string lining at the bottom of this racetrack. See Connor Horn drifting up to the outside of Reggie Ortega's number 2. They're going to drag race down the back straight. That's for 7th, and looks like Ortega's going to beat that 3 car into turn 3.
Yeah, Ortega was surprisingly quick when it came down to practice. Was the fastest driver in practice, so he's looking like he's got some really solid pace here at Auto Club. But again, our leader Adam Cabot trying to hold up Elliott Butler in this 6 in behind.
Butler's got a pretty good run here. We'll see if he does anything with it. Right to the rear bumper of the 77. Stays in line for now. Everyone playing nice so far, but as the race gets later and later, this is not a long race. This will be over in less than an hour if it goes green from start to finish. I don't think it'll do that, but it's possible. As you see Butler get a pretty good run, he's going to sit on it again. How bumpy it is on the back straightaway as well. Pretty rough on these cars. Casey Laconis to the inside of Tim Downey Jr. He's on through, and Bailey Turner, who always ran well at Fontana, is only 13th right now. He started up in 7th, so he's fallen down a little bit.
And he, if you remember seeing that big jumble on the start, that block from Alex Bell, that was on the 24 Bailey Turner, and he went into the grass a little bit. That's what cost him so many spots, so trying to make up from that early start mishap.
Side by side for the lead, Elliott Butler's got a nose on Adam Cabot. He might be able to clear him with some help from the Ford Mustang behind of Evangelo Ronis. Ronis is going to take them 3 wide into turn 3. Here we go, already starting early here at Fontana.
And Ronis trying to flex his muscles here. He hits the apron, going to come up the track just a little bit, but it looks like Butler's going to be the one hike out ahead. How about Steve Turner, the 22? He's also looking pretty strong here. He's also going to try to throw it up the middle here.
Across the start-finish line, 3 wide for 2nd. Butler leads that lap as we complete the 4th of 90 laps here. Ronis going to stay very tight to the inside. I'm not sure he'll be able to make the corner with an arc that shallow. But Steve Turner going to get squeezed in the center. Butler's going to ike out ahead at the exit at turn number 2.
And Ronis still able to keep it down there. Ooh, I see Cabot with a bit of a run. Does he dare make it? I thought they were almost going to go 4 wide. He's going to make it 3 wide to the inside of Ronis here.
And as the tires wear out, the shallow entries aren't going to cut it anymore. You have to start arcing it in a bit deeper. Alex Bell, who we documented as starting up in 5th, the big block early in the going, he's fallen to 7th. Adam Cabot, the pole sitter, went from 1st to 4th in 1 lap and continues to drop, with AJ Stravato going around the outside. That is for 4th, and will put Cabot all the way to the outside of the top 5.
Stravato trying to build up the run, is just saying, yeah, I'm curious how much longer these guys are going to be able to just run in that bottom line. I already see Cabot starting to push up the hill a little bit with his shallow entry, and Stravato still working the back of that 77 machine.
But Ortega, big left side move on the 33. He throws a big block off the back straightaway. Again, the frustration going to mount pretty quickly with moves that late. Ortega goes a long way around, but Alex Bell's going to take advantage of that. He'll go through and try to grab 6th spot away as the leaders cut down all the way to the white line in the front stretch.
Yeah, they're all taking the shortest way around. I saw a few drivers of the apron earlier on. But Ortega and Bell still fighting for that 6th spot and behind that 15 on the march forward.
Sun shining at the exit at turn number 2. Steve Turner, a really solid start to the night here as he tries to track down the 6th car. Getting really busy back here in the bottom half of the top 10.
And right on board with Brian Chambliss in the Redenza machine, the number 9 car. You can see he's got some traffic up ahead, and especially Connor Horn directly ahead of him, that 3 car.
Let's talk pit strategy here. Do you treat this like a plate race, or are you going to pit completely on your own? What's the best strategy here? I feel like traffic isn't really helping you that much, so maybe it's worth pitting on your own and just getting out of the chaos, or is it better to pit with the pack?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell. I would like to say that, getting yourself in some cleaner air, I think is definitely going to pay dividends for you. It's going to put, make you wear your tires out less and you get around. I don't think the draft's going to be really too important. I think if anything, it's more of a hindrance, especially later on.
Craft on the straightaway, arrow push in the corners. Stravato's going to swing up to the outside of the 77. He might try to go middle 3 wide here, but Steve Turner's going to pinch left slightly, and now Stravato tried to look to the middle, but he couldn't do it.
He's kind of boxed in between a few cars and the wall, so in order for him to really go, and he's stuck in behind Turner really up high.
saw Bryce Calusa in the number 20, who's had a pretty good season. He is a chase competitor. You see by the yellow banner on the top of the windshield, there's Yusuf Ghali. Ghali's gone nowhere since the drop of the green flag, which is a bit concerning given how poor of a midseason he's had.
And speaking of Calusa, too, almost won last time out at Mosport, finished second to Connor Horn. Wasn't able to quite chase the 3 on down. As you see side-by-side action here as Rodish trying to take the lead away from Elliot Butler.
Only 2 Mustangs in this field, the other being driven by Eddie Trejo back in 15th. It's been a while since we've seen a blue oval lead the field through turns 1 and 2. Rodish peeks out ahead. Can he hang on to it, though? With Butler getting the stronger run on the outside, plus a push from the 77 of Cabot. Cabot's going to swing hard left as they go 3 wide into 3.
We saw the middle line prevail earlier on in the race. I think we might see the same thing here as Rodas gets back on the gas. No lane clearly winning. Steve Turner looked like he might make it 4 wide. Oh, we're going to try 5 wide here.
Oh my goodness, 4 wide on the front straightaways. We come on through. We are 5 wide here at ORL at Fontana for the first 11 laps. We were pretty calm. We're getting really wild down into turn number 1. Was there a touch from Ortega to Turner? If there wasn't, it was close. Very busy out there.
On the outside lane. Yeah, as these guys come off a turn 2, the guys in the inside lane got quite a bit of a run. And still 3 wide on the back straightaway.
This is definitely slower. This is not the fast way to go around here. But they're trying it for sure. Bell's going to get squeezed on the inside of the 2. Now it's going to calm down for a little bit with everyone having a moment to take a deep breath. I don't think you want to do that too many times this race.
Absolutely not. And up for the lead again. Their leaders side by side. Cabot going to try to breeze on by past the 6 of Butler. Will indeed do that. Get clear of the 6 by turn 1.
Cabot grabs the lead back as they exit turn number 2. A bit of shuffling behind them. The 11 was the leader a lap and a half ago. Here he is. Now back in 5th. Alex Bell has a look up the inside.
Ortega going to try to hound the outside of the 15 of Bell and Ortega. It's been a pretty good start for him from 13th all the way up to around 6th or 7th as he gets really tight out of turn 4. And even Steve Turner had to check up a little bit. So this is where we're starting to see those tires. They're starting to wear out now.
Well, the drivers that have been hugging the inside are going to be burning them up a whole lot faster than those that were kind of ringing the Larson line up against the fence. Big dive for Ortega. He's certainly using up the right front of that car. See Ronas real slow through 1 and 2 as they come out, the sun in the eyes now of the drivers as they exit the corner.
If it hasn't already been in the race, I can't imagine if anyone's using VR. They're probably blind by this point in the race.
Not a pleasant experience, I'll tell you that. Amazed we haven't wadded up any cars yet with how many drivers we've tried to fit laterally at Fontana Speedway. I know it's a big track, but guys, 5 wide. That's a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't speak too soon because these guys are far from being done with one another here. Bailey Turner's still trying to make up for what happened earlier in the race. He's got back up to 10th, but yeah, not entirely near where it was in 7th. He's got a few more spots to make up.
The entire field still within 6.5 seconds. The vast majority of them within 2 seconds.
Yeah, how about Zach Halpern with a solid chart for from 18th to 13th? This is kind of more alongside what we saw him do last season as he's trying to march his way up the order in that 26.
Ryan Chambliss to the inside of Ortega. That is for 8th. And Stravado clears the 6 car. That's for 2nd. Alex Bell having a look at the 6 as well down the front straight for 3rd.
And Connor Horn trying to navigate, slide on through. He's going to run past the 11 to Steve Turner. Now going to try to work next on Angelo Rodas up ahead.
Was the points leader coming into the night by 12 points, as you mentioned, and his goal really is just to not do anything drastic. Don't get yourself in trouble because he's going to be probably one of the best drivers the next 5 weeks, and he's going to probably get a race win. So just don't throw it away tonight. Just keep yourself out of trouble.
Remember the first season that we covered of the series, he almost won. Or actually, was that still when it was VRL?
It was when it was VRL.
Yeah, so he almost won a championship against Eric Hutton, but threw it away at very late stages of that championship. Wasn't able to take home, be the champion out of that series. So this is kind of redemption here. And again, as you're saying, just doesn't need to make mistakes. He's pretty much the best driver out here on the field, out of the field. And if he can, he's just got to make sure that he doesn't make the mistake. He's going to definitely try to take a win, though. It is definitely not going to be stopping him in that department.
Adam Cabot's got a 7/10 of a second lead. That's by far the largest advantage we've seen anybody have yet today. still a scrap back here. These guys have not sorted anything out yet. Bailey Turner still chucking it up the inside, trying to scrape back what was his in the early going. Remember, he started 7th and had fallen back all the way to 13th. Now it's Brian Chambliss kind of chewing away at the quarter panel there. And Reggie Ortega trying to get the elbows out and make that 2 car very wide, but wasn't quite successful. Turner still got overlap. Not quite anymore as they head into turn 1.
And side by side with the 20, side by side with the 48 as he goes off into turn 1.
And there's the 26 of Halpern. Is there a little bit of front end damage to the 26? I wonder if he's been into the back of somebody. You see the hood popped up slightly.
Yeah, indeed he has. I'm trying to look back and see who it was that he hit.
It's going to match.
Pretty early on in the race.
Going to match somebody's puzzle piece here. The rear end probably bowed out a little bit on somebody's car.
Oh, it was the 48 of Jeff Wright that he had.
Oh, Jeff Wright in the fence. Swings hard left at the exit of the corner. He got in the wall, got a little tight, and had to make up for it by getting out of the way, and now he's going to get split with Tim Downey Jr. to his inside.
I'm sure Brian Chambliss had a bit of a heart attack. He went sideways right in front of the 9 cars, so luckily for both of them, nothing happened out of that.
And Angelo Ronas buried all the way back here in 7th, so his momentary lead where he managed to grab... he didn't even lead the lap. He was very close to it, though. He was dropped all the way down to 7th.
The inside of Ronas, and I think Ronas might have pushed himself just a little bit too hard in the early running. We've seen a lot of that. If you push yourself too hard, you're going to drop like a rock later in the run. And still early on, we still have quite a bit ways to go as far as fuel's concerned.
Working lap number 19 of 90. Reggie Ortega kind of holding up a little bit of the train here as they head into turn number 1. A group of cars behind him and a bit of a gap forming in front of him. The top 4 beginning to escape. Cabot, Stramato, Bell, and Horn trying to run away. The 26 popping out of line again. That's Halpern going for 8th. Oh, big stack up. The 24 is going to get a push from the 6th mid-corner, and Ronas and Halpern almost get together at corner exit. Brian Chambliss has a huge head of steam. We'll see where he goes with it.
Everyone's kind of filing in line. You see him trying to work the outside, Halpern to the inside. Heading off into turn 1. They get very close together on entry. Halpern going to chuck it up the inside of the 11.
Not going to stick, though, I don't think. It's going to wash out on exit. No, he did make it stick, and Chambliss is going to cross him over. He'll take a little bit of a run here, but might not be enough to get back by the 26.
I think that's, again, Halpern, one of those drivers that conserved a bit of tire earlier on, is now starting to use it up a little bit, again, navigating through the field.
Big bumps on the back straight again, upsetting these cars as they go through the corners. And seeing a lot more separation now as the tires begin to wear, and with that, Yusuf Ghali has begun his climb forward. Started in 17th, he's gained 5 spots now up to 12th. Trying to be easier on the car than the drivers around you. And that will get you forward. I mean, that's been an experiment that we've seen drivers do in the past, is just be easy on the car and the race will come to you. He's got the yellow, there's a lot of yellow spoilers out there, but he's got one of them. So does Casey Lakatos in the number 50. Ghali's to go for 10th. That's Steve Turner there in the 22.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I'm taking a look again at my numbers here for fuel mileage for these drivers, and they are going to be right on the cusp of being able to make this on one stop if they dare. And I think now that we've gotten out of, we always talk about, again, I'm not going to say the word package as you were, even though I just said it right there. I guess platform would be a good word to use.
Try to use some synonyms.
I don't know.
I call that a situation. So, not a good situation either. We did see Alex Bell running pretty high in the exit of turn 2. Maybe struggling a little bit with the handling on his car. Halpern is moving forward up to 7th. Butler going backwards. Brian Chambliss has sort of been stuck where he is. And Ghali, as I mentioned a minute ago, going very quickly forward right now.
See him trying to make try to get to the inside of the quarter panel at 6, so he's been able to move up through the order. I'm still not sure if not qualifying was the best move for him, because he's got a bit of distance between himself and the guys up in the front. Again, more specifically, the guys he needs to beat. Whoa, I see Bailey Turner way out of line all the way up in the wall.
Not sure what that was all about. Let's have a look here at how he got it. Oh, there was a touch. Heading down into turn number 1, he was battling with Reggie Ortega. Here is a replay. there. It goes off into the corner. There's a big slide by the 24. Did he keep it out of the wall? Just.
Great driving by Bailey Turner. He's been the ball twice today on the start with Alex Bell and now there with Ortega. So I'm sure he's not too terribly happy of a driver at the moment.
He's got his mirrors full of Yusuf Ghali and Brian Chambliss as well. Going to run up the middle of the racetrack to try to keep the 54 behind him. Comes Ghali to the inside. Now this is for 6th. I'm amazed at how fast this 54 is carving his way through the field. Just continues to impress me. Again, you have to wonder what would he have done had he qualified. He could be up there in that front pack leading laps.
This all could have been according to plan, I think, for him. It could have been him just trying to start back a little bit ways further back to save some time. And I think, again, we're starting to see that now. The guys have been saving their rubber. They're easily able to move past the guys that have been pushing pretty hard throughout this run. He's picking him up and putting him down here. Just trying to work past Bailey Turner, that 24.
On the outside now, which we haven't really seen that be a successful spot to make passes, but it might be enough with a good run, and he's got it. Grid Life Touring Cup 54 going to go around the outside of the 24. That's for 6th. And for the lead, Cabot has been leading since this group pulled away, but now AJ Stravato's knocking on the door, and he wants to come in.
Yeah, I'm curious how much these guys are going to bother fighting for it. They got Connor Horn breathing down their neck. In behind, and Strado going all the way. I'm not sure if he's trying to help the 77 or if he is trying to actively get him.
Looks like they're working together right now, a little bit of competition. There's a third group back here that's got Elliott Butler, Lakatos, Steve Turner, and more. And there is a group of drivers that has just completely fallen off the cliff. One of those drivers, Angelo Ronas, in the 11.
And even Butler, for the matter, you could throw him in that mix too, because he was all the way up fighting for the lead. He actually led a few laps of this race earlier on. That 6, he's dropped all the way back to 11, so he's kind of part of one of those drivers that are just starting to fall down the order.
For the race lead, AJ Stravato going to get to the inside of Adam Cabot. They're going to run door-to-door to the stripe and complete lap number 26, and this time through, Stravato's going to lead the lap by a nose.
Yeah, like 24 thousandths of a second at the line.
Cabot going to get cleared. He'll drop in line into 2nd, and Connor Horn has just crept his way into 3rd. Started in 9th, but Cabot's not done yet on the outside.
And Cabot, one of those drivers, I think, a bit hungry for a win. He's only got 1 so far this season. And how about Stravato as he goes flying past on the inside? 3 wins to his name this season. And he's done a phenomenal job trying to make a win number 4 here. If he can try to hold up the 77.
Oh.
He's going to try to go defensive here on the front straightaway. We see Cabot aggressive side drafting down the front straightaway as well.
It's working. He's pulled even with him as they head into turn number 1. So that side draft, again, didn't used to be a super effective method to get by somebody, but it has been tweaked and it has been improved. We saw that there. Yusuf Ghali crowded Reggie Ortega at corner number 4. Got his way up inside the top 5 now as Chambliss is following Ghali through.
Yeah, you gotta be very careful when you start to crowd people like that, when you start to pinch people off and they start getting tight. You have to give at least some sort of room where you make contact. And speaking of which, you want to see our leaders do that as they head up into 3.
Stravato with a really strong run. He has had a fairy tale season after coming off of several consecutive seasons of having absolutely miserable runs. Things have turned around in 2020.
Yeah, they definitely have. Curious to see if he can continue this streak and maybe get another win before the end of the season. You see Connor Horn try to have some work with Adam Cabot to the inside. He will go. Not entirely clear that 77 just yet.
Good fight behind them as well for a top 5 spot. Behind Ghali, it is a Hornets nest, and they're 3 wide deeper in the field with the 22 of Steve Turner in the middle of it all.
Butler way on the outside too. He's starting to drop like a, even more like a rock. That's really much of a
Drop like a heavier rock.
Yeah, there you go.
But gravity accelerates everything at the same.
Yeah, and also, Jeff Wright also in the mix there. Yeah, remember, we actually did see him hit the wall and turn for a decent amount. I'm having to assume that that damage is affecting that car.
Whoa, 22 of Steve Turner got a big push from the 6 of Elliott Butler. Did nothing to move them forward, just got the 22 loose. A third of the way through this race this time by, and you have to start wondering, do you want to split this into 2? stops, or do you want to put it into one? I mean, it's going to be a tricky thing to figure out here, I think.
It really is, because by my calculations, by yourself, you're going to be burning about 40 laps of fuel. You're going to be able to go 40 laps on a tank. These guys are going to be in the draft. They're going to be letting off the gas a little bit, so they might just barely be able to save another 5 from that. It's going to be really close either way, and I think unless we start seeing guys coming
here we
down,
go. There's one. Brandon Bowers is going to peel off and hit pit lane. He'll be the first one and the only one so far to come.
Yeah, so see if the guys find it worth staking out those extra 15 laps. You might see a slow trickle on a pit road here.
Nice livery on that car here tonight, 31 with the Havoline colors on it. To the box. Connor Horn creeping up to the 33 here, Finney. And what does he have for the race win? And you mentioned he's got 7 wins this season. It wouldn't take a lot to rack up 8 wins in 18 races is certainly a figure that I think a lot of drivers would like to have on their racing resume.
Yeah, well, and especially too, adding to that fact, this will be his 16th start this season. So if he gets another win, they'll make his win percentage of the races he started exactly 50%. And I'm sure a lot of drivers would like to see that, especially now that they've finally got a good shot of getting back at him for this playoffs. Pretty
impressive. So Brandon Bowers comes back out on the racetrack, a lap down, a 14.3 second pit stop as the field filters onto the back straightaway. We'll see if anybody else comes. And you would think that you'd want to split this into 2. I don't think you can guarantee going all the way to lap 45. I don't think anyone's been saving fuel. I think this is a very difficult place to save fuel. So I would be coming relatively soon if I were these drivers.
And especially considering we talked about, the tapered spacer that these cars have now. These guys running really close to the revs. It is all significantly hard to save fuel around a place like this. If you start saving fuel, you're going to drop like a rock, as you were saying earlier.
You're getting real creative with the analogies tonight, I will say.
Yeah, very creative. I like rocks, apparently.
Clifton Cockrell's going to hit pit lane all the way from 22nd. We have not talked about him yet tonight. Been a pretty slow night for him, the Milwaukee Tools car.
Yeah, he's been pretty much stuck at the back of the order. He was running at around 21st when he came in, so he doesn't think that they can make it all the way on one stop.
Jeff Wright trying to recover. He's got some damage to fix. I'm curious to see if he'll spend any time to do that. There's David Mott Jr. He started all the way at the back of the field. He's up to 16th as it stands.
He was in the back for quite a while, and now again, this is really waited to finally put some pressure to it. Here we go, one of our front runners now starting to come in. Reggie Ortega on the 2.
And I have to imagine this is going to start a cascade of pit stops of the leaders. I don't think you'd want to really try to outlast anybody else. Again, you're basically wasting time on fresh tires if you're staying out much longer than this. If you split it into 3 equal runs, you're maximizing your tire performance in life.
And the fall off is pretty significant. We're looking at almost 2.5 to 3 seconds fall off for these drivers the way they're running right now. So you're definitely going to want to take as much of that advantage as you can with the fresher rubber.
See if anybody from this third group comes on back. Doesn't look like they will, so trying to extend this run as much as possible. And maybe just hoping for a caution, but if we ran 5 wide earlier and didn't get one, I could very easily see this race going not caution-free, but certainly cautionless until very late in the race.
Yeah, we've seen recently, too, that, once we get past the first 10, 15 laps, we're looking at being pretty clean and green for the rest of the race.
Some significant damage to Matt Wagner's car, both front and rear. He's been into the wall or been into somebody else at least twice. Once on the front, once on the rear of that car. So might spend some time repairing it. But for the race lead, Connor Horn is all over AJ Stravato as they come to the front stretch.
And Horn putting some pressure. A little bit of a bump to the 33. Both those drivers are notably teammates here, so I don't think Connor's going to be too excessive with his movements here. And again, we were saying earlier too that he doesn't. He's got a lot to lose, but not much to gain. And the way I'm trying to make sense out of that is that he could try to go for the lead here, but I mean, obviously he's not going to force the issue because even if he finishes second, that's a really good point haul.
Brandon Bowers has unlapped himself. There have been 5 drivers that have hit pit lane so far. Definitely surprised we haven't seen more. And which run do you think they're going to shorten up? Would you rather run a short middle stint or a short end stint?
So, I mean, again, I would rather just, come in and do it into equal stints. I'm just trying to look here. So, looking at the pit road delta these guys are running, they're running about 45 seconds down on pit road. So, the big question is really going to be is seeing Is that the extra time that you save, putting the fresher tires on, you're looking at the fall being almost 3 seconds, is that going to be worth it to come down, get some fresh rubber, and make that back out on the track?
Well, I don't know, but again, I think that the opportunity to run equal stints is far over. I mean, you were 7, 8 laps past that, 16, 20 miles beyond that, so I don't think that that's really an option anymore, obviously. So you're kind of put yourself in a box now with the drivers that are going to split this up equally and maximize the tire life. I do think that it would have been better to come at lap number 30, but again, if the vast majority of people are doing something different, maybe we're wrong. Because you would have thought if that was such a good strategy, everyone would have done it.
I was gonna say again, the equal tire stints is really more of a road thing. With oval, there are a lot more factors that you have to convey. It's not just a matter of coming in every, keep cutting it up to nice equal cookie cutter stints. You want to kind of gauge the way the race is going. Speaking of which, Connor Horn to the inside of AJ Servato is going to take the lead as we got a bunch of hello. There's Reggie Ortega on fresh tires. He's trying to unlap himself.
Yeah, and he's sort of stalled out behind him, and he needs to get his way by to make up as much time as possible. He's kind of mingling with the race leaders now as we come across the start-finish line as we approach lap number 40. Connor Horn leads his first lap of the night. Adam Cabot wants to follow through and maybe grab his spot back.
You're going to see a big difference in look at how much faster Ortega is through the corners.
He's
got nowhere to really go at the moment.
He's absolutely stuck right now, which is going to be so frustrating. Straightaway speeds are going to be identical. You're just going to gain on him on corner entry.
Yeah, you're going to probably see him easily just pull off to the side here and just chuck it up the inside. The 77 Orndati.
To go on the outside.
Yeah.
Now look at the speed difference. That's 20 miles an hour through the corner. He's through and unlapped.
Yeah, I think we're definitely looking at everyone else that's remaining. I imagine they're going to have their sights set on making it on one stop. But I am curious, again, of the guys that are planning 2 stops, Ortega's the leading driver. And he's making up some pretty significant time, even though he's held up for a lap or 2.
Bryce Calusa's going to hit pit lane, so you have to wonder, I would imagine if you stayed out this long, you're going to try to go to lap 45.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they can make it to lap 50, and now it's some extreme saving that they've been able to do riding it behind one another. But
so now it looks like, I'm not sure you could save 10 laps worth of fuel or 5 laps worth of fuel, but I think if you can get to lap 43 or 44, you're definitely within range of being able to save to get to the end. To that, then it begs the question what you posed a few minutes ago. Is taking tires going to be advantageous over the course of a race like this? I don't think this race is all that long. So I'm not sure that a 2-stopper will be better than a 1-stopper if they can make it to lap 45. But then you're on the attack. If you come and pit again, you're definitely in an advantageous position because you've got fresh tires, you get a late race caution, you're in a much better position to stay out. Martin Sproul comes to pit lane, as does Eddie Trejo.
Starting to see more drivers trickle on the pit road now. Ooh, I saw a front runner come in, and that is Alex Bell, the 15, dropping from 4th.
Bell started this night in 5th spot. He's down to 8th as he comes to pit lane. I'm just very surprised at how fragmented the pit stops have been. I would have thought we would have seen a lot more drivers come together. It seems like we've had a driver or 3 every couple laps, which is not what I expected to see.
Yeah, pit road has not been completely busy all at once. I do have a feeling we might see that change here as we're getting closer and closer to the halfway point of the race.
Yeah, still 14 drivers that have not yet pit, and you have to imagine that they might all come together.
And I hear a lot of drivers starting to call out coming into pit road, and here you see Cabot and Servato coming in.
Yeah, so they're going to come in from 2nd and 3rd. We'll see if Yusuf Ghali follows. He will. Oftentimes it's easier to follow drivers in so you can kind of gauge their braking points. Brian Chambliss follows Yusuf Ghali, and here's the rush hour we expected to see. Behind them, I think, is the Chevrolet of Steve Turner, and as well as David Mott Jr. They're all going to come to pit lane at lap 43. So that tells me Connor Horn, if he can make one more lap, he's good to the end here, Finney, I would think.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I'm hearing a lot of guys trying to call out onto pit road, and that's a bit concerning in some ways, because typically when you see a lot of drivers come in at the same time towards the end of the run, that pretty much means they're running to the end of their tanks. So, and we haven't exactly gotten past halfway, so it's showing that more likely than not, they're going to be kind of close on fuel.
Connor Horn comes on down. He went 43 laps, so now you're going to have to go a little bit more than that. You have to go more like 46 6:47 to get to the end. That's a big ask in terms of the fuel saving.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers coming on down. Jeff Wright is notably stayed out, as well as Casey Lakatos. We've seen Casey Lakatos run a lot of times to the end of the tank. So Wright and Lakatos are the only drivers that have yet to pit so far.
He's clutching in. He's got the motor shut off down through
he's
turn.
Trying to hit the number.
Yeah, he's trying to get the number. And if he can get to lap 45, I think with a little bit of foresight, you could get to the end of the race. But that's still, I mean...
Oh, I think Wright's sputtering. Wright's sputtering up ahead on the back straightaway. He's out of gas. He's just put the clutch in.
Out of fuel.
You can see 300 RPM.
And is Casey Lakatos still under power? He's got his clutch in as well. I can't imagine that this is going to be better than pitting twice, Vinny, and they're really trying to stretch this.
Yeah, and again, I was saying we were just on the cusp of making it. I think Reggie Ortega, he's going to have a bit of a smile on his face. He might have made the right call.
Lakatos is still under power. Jeff Wright, however, is not. He's going to be coasting to his pit box. See him losing time to Casey Lakatos. And Ortega going to come out of turn number 4, and he's going to blow by everybody except for Brandon Bowers, who is actually in front of Reggie Ortega.
Yeah, Bowers did come in a bit earlier, and actually he's looking to be on the better of the two of them. So we'll see here. Really, but between these two, I think are definitely the front runners on the 2-stop strategy. Now again, these guys are hoping and praying that a caution doesn't come out, because that's going to turn everything on his head. And depending on when the caution comes out, if it comes out while in the lead, it's pretty much going to fall right to their favor. It comes in after they pit and before the rest of the field is made. If it comes out after they pit but work up through the order, it's going to put them down the order. So if they want a caution, they want it now and soon.
You have to wonder for guys like Casey Lakatos and Jeff Wright, now that they know that they can pretty much go to lap 45, they can save a little bit in advance now and probably get to the end. The question is, are they going to be able to do that effectively? Yeah. I would think that Lakatos and Wright are probably in a better position than someone like Connor Horn, because they have to save so much less. But I think it's just going to end up evening out. I'm not really sure that anybody on the one-stop strategy is going to be vastly better or worse off than any other on the one-stop strategy. I'd rather be on the two-stopper right now, given what I've seen so far.
Yeah, we did see, I will say, though, the guys on the one-stop strategy came in around lap 42. I think they're going to be very hard-pressed to save, 6 laps of fuel, essentially. They're going to save a lot. They're pretty much going to have to come back in.
And there's no drafting right now, either. Everyone's so spread out at this point.
That's another problem when it comes into where you're talking about saving fuel with guys like Lakatos and Wright. They just need to save it a little bit extra, but who you're going to save off of is going to be the big point now that the field's so spread out after those green flag pit stops. You
can see there are small clusters of cars around the racetrack. The majority of the field is completely spread out amongst their own little race. So that is a challenge for drivers to save fuel. You can't just lift off and carry momentum like you used to be able to here. You're pretty much flat out around the entire racetrack. And no shifting either. This is going to be a really tall task for drivers on the one-stop strategy.
Yeah, Brandon Bowers currently, as we look at him come across the line of race leader, he's poised in the best position at the moment. And he's pretty much, as we were talking about, not to say that we were right, but it looks like we're kind of right, because he's coming pretty much exactly on those milestones. Came in, I think, lap 31 or 32, so pretty much at the 1/3 mark. So we expect to see him back on pit road in about 12 to 13 laps time.
You see Bryce Calusa catch the wall there out of turn number 2. I actually sort of like Brandon Bowers here, because he's 5.5 seconds up the road. By the time Ortega eats into that lead, we're going to be pretty much closing in on lap number 60. So I think Bowers is in a better spot than Ortega is right now. He managed to parlay that early pit stop, at least earlier than Ortega, into a much better track position for him. So I would put the 31 as the best driver right now in terms of the outlook for the rest of the race.
And remember, you do actually see Ortega be held up quite a bit when he was with some of the leaders when he's trying to get back, and I think that cost him quite a bit. I think he would have, if it wasn't for that, I think he might have been 2 to 3 seconds back instead of 5.
Brian Chammel's back on pit lane. We did see him come in earlier. Not really sure what's up, but I don't have a stop recorded to him for him before, so I'm not sure what's going on.
I can check here. He came on lap 43, so I think he's just come immediately straight back in. I think he's going to call his stop here, which is an interesting way to do strategy, but he looks like he's going to be good to go to the end from this point on.
All right, Bowers lost a bunch of time that lap to Calusa and Ortega. They were able to draft together, and I think they gained a pretty sizable chunk, over a second. So maybe this isn't going to work out quite as much in Bowers' favor, but I'd say as soon as I get to you, Finney, I come to pit road.
Yeah, effectively, I don't think it's worth just wasting your time sitting in behind some dirt or trying to force your way on by. Easiest place past someone is in the pits.
Well, I think for Bowers, I think that's what he should do as a defensive mechanism to keep that short pit strategy going and try to just run out, and because it's clean air everywhere right now. I would pit, get the fuel that you need, and I would just call it a day as soon as those drivers get to your rear bumper. I wouldn't bother battling. I wouldn't bother sitting in behind him. I would pit as soon as Calusa and Bell, or actually, I say Bell, because he has gotten by Reggie Ortega.
This is all the drivers that are looking to try to make it on one stop, maybe two. But again, I think really where their strategy is going to come apart is, you know, they can try. There's not, as far as coming in, they're not going to really be able to maximize the fresh tires. I think that's where it's going to cost them quite a bit of time on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's about a second a lap now that Bowers is losing to Calusa. So he can pretty much stay out for 3 more laps and get him to lap 54. I'd say that's probably fine. I would come in right at lap 54, 55, and it's cutting it a little bit short, but I'd get out there running clean air and try to run away while you can, while everyone else is fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, just rather you see him trying to get past Ortega. It's not going to be much of a fight again. A lot of these guys on 2 different strategies. You got to kind of keep that in mind of really who you're fighting and where you're fighting these guys. Not necessarily on the track, but strategy overall is up ahead. Bell and Calusa get pretty close together into turn 1.
Actually, Bell and Stravato are in a really good position. They've got about 8 or 9 lap fresher tires than the other drivers around them, and they are very quickly hunting down Bowers. 2.5 seconds is the differential as they head off into turn 3. Bowers might stick with this and just run out to lap 60 and then stay right on the numbers. I don't think that's an awful strategy. Wouldn't try to pull any sort of overcut at this point.
No, definitely don't do an overcut. I think definitely do around 30 laps and the tires come on in, because the guy, I think he's set pretty much on a winning strategy. Him and Reggie Ortega.
Lap 53 of 90. We're working into the latter part of this race. About 27 minutes of racing left to go. And Brian Chambliss has come down for that second stop. As we mentioned, he was about 9 seconds that he was in pit lane 4. The only driver that has made 2 pit stops yet. And for Chambliss, I think that would mean that he's good to the end if he fueled up. That might be his whole thing, is to fuel up and just be done.
Yeah, that's what I assumed he was doing, but it's a weird call. Ooh, is it just like Adam Cabot get a piece of the wall coming out of turn 4?
Oh, that's weird. Cabot has kind of drifted to the bottom half of the top 10. And for the driver that led 17 laps in the early going, he's kind of mired back farther than I thought he would be. And I can't say I'm confident that he's going to be able to get his way back forward.
Yeah, looking back up at the lead. So we're going to see a change in the next lap or 2 here as Alex Bell catching up very closely to Bowers, and can't imagine Bowers is going to fight this too much.
No, and again, this is sort of right on schedule. I said lap 54, 55, he'd probably get caught. He's going to pull over to the left and probably let the 15 on by, or he's going to stay tight down there for a moment. And Bell's going to cross over down into turn 1, and he should make this pass pretty easily. Stravato's going to follow through here as well pretty shortly.
Yeah, Stravato, a teammate to the 31, he's going to get on by as well. And those guys, Bell and Stravato, are going to fight for the lead.
Here's Connor Horn. He's ready to crash the party here. Got one of the newest sets of tires out there on the racetrack, and it's paying off right now. And these long runs are sort of playing more favor to the later pit stops in the strategy than I would have thought. But again, he's on the one-stop strategy, I believe, and he's got a long way to go to the end of the race.
Ooh, Bell left the door open. Estrada going to squeeze on through to the inside and get a really good run out of turn 2.
Yeah, he's going to get it. He's going to complete this pass, I think, by the time they get down to 3, unless Bell side drafts and is able to hang on. Connor Horn's here to crash the party, but again, he's on a very different strategy. If I'm Connor Horn, I would stay behind these drivers and draft and do nothing but that for the next 30 laps. Because he's got to make this thing last to the end, and running out in front, burning up your fuel is not the way to do it, but it looks like that's what he's planning on.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Just trying to save that gas is going to be extremely important. We'll see here what he's going to have in store. As he's going to, looks like he might try to look for the lead here to the inside of Stravato.
And he's fighting hard for it. I'm just not quite sure I understand what's going on in the 3 camp right now, Finian. I don't think he can make it unless he's been saving fuel and we haven't noticed. But here he is going for the top spot. He's going to be burning up a whole lot of fuel, and maybe he's just banking on a late race caution. I mean, that's a high possibility given how aggressive things get. We are seeing the group or the racing start to pack up again a little bit. As you'll see coming from the left side of the screen here, there's a couple distinct groups of cars. And I think we're going to start seeing some drivers racing harder and harder as we start running out of laps.
To see if we do see a caution come out due to everyone starting to get closer and a little bit more aggressive in the stint. That's not what guys like Bowers want at the moment. They're set on their own strategy, hoping that they can win in the thing. Everyone else kind of looking to be more on the back foot. They're kind of hoping for a caution. I think it's only going to be their only saving grace for winning the race, guys like Stramato or Horn.
There's Brian Chambliss down in 22nd. He's made a second pit stop. He would, in theory, be good to the end on fuel. What about tires, though? Are you wearing out your right front here? Pretty abrasive racetrack. Not sure I'd be confident running a tire all the way to the end. I guess that's a concern for all the one-stoppers, but they seem to make it no problem.
Ooh, I think I just heard Bell on the clutch.
I think this is when you're going to start to realize if you're going to try to save fuel, this is when you're going to do it. So for Brandon Bowers, he'll be approaching lap 60. I would expect him on pit lane either this lap or next, because that would split his stints up into basically 30-lap segments, which I think from the beginning was the way to go, but we'll see if it's best strategy or not in about 31 laps time. So out of turn 4, looks like he'll stay out another lap. Deeper in the field, Reggie Ortega right behind. 6th and 7th is Yusuf Ghali, Reggie Ortega, Adam Cabot, Angelo Ronis is about half a second behind these drivers, and Ronis for a moment was up at the front of this group, is fallen back to 9th on tires that are a little bit on the older side compared to the drivers around him.
Yeah, Ronis is looking like he had a really solid shot on winning the race earlier on. He started to drift back a little bit more. I think I just heard the call for the 31 that he's coming down to pit road.
Yeah, this is exactly what we expected here. So he's going to pull off the racetrack and head for the pit lane, get all the way slowed down on the brakes. A little bit of an aggressive entry, but he gets it down to 55 miles an hour, no problem. I'm really intrigued because he's on the two-stop strategy exactly the mathematically correct way to do it. I'm just curious to see if the creativity of the oval drivers in these fuel mileage situations is going to outperform the mathematical best formula. So we'll see if that works out for Bowers. He's in pit lane. Meanwhile, for 6, Ortega's got Cabot behind him, as well as the 83 of Gagnon, who we have not really talked about at all tonight. Started in 19th and is dropped to 23rd.
Yeah, Ortega, another driver expecting to see pull off on pit road within the next lap or two. Is going to continue on for now, and yeah, Cabot has been starting to drop down the order. Gagnon only back in 23rd, a lap down.
Just under 30 laps to go here in the Outsider Racing League at Fontana. It has been a beautiful night worth of racing, and the points leader Connor Horn is the current race leader. He has led only 11 laps tonight, but on a one-stop strategy. He has to run about 47 laps to the end of this tank. That is a lot to ask out of a car that's leading the race without following anybody or saving any fuel.
Yeah, and we saw earlier that again, really close. This guy's only really able to do about 42, 43 laps, 44 barely, as we saw in the case of Jeff Wright, in case of God is limping their cars back to the pits.
Notable fastest lap tonight belongs to Reggie Ortega. 40.430 for him.
Yeah, not too terribly surprising. It was the fastest car in practice as well, so.
8 lead changes so far. Horn has been the best so far in terms of where we are. If the race ended right here, he'd be happy, but the race doesn't end right here. It goes for another, what are we looking at? 37 laps or so.
27.
27, thank you. Ortega going to stay out again. And all the while, Brandon Bowers is running lap times about 2 seconds faster than the race leaders.
And you can see he's right ahead, but oh, I see a car way down on the front. Caleb Weekly has got a problem. He's really slow on the front straightaway. Oh, he had an interesting run out at turn 4.
Well, he's just came out of the pit, so I wonder if there was some cold tire.
There's a reason he just came out of the pits.
Oh, I think I see. Yeah, here's a look here at the replay at the exit of 4. This car just gets loose and just steps out. Oh, man. Oh, that's a ride that you don't want to take.
Yeah, I think if I was him, I would want to just come down the pit road because he's going to get unsafe exit, and that's going to make him come back on
Something
down.
tells me that he wasn't completely in control of that car at that particular moment, so I'm not sure that I would have trusted myself to aim for any particular thing, especially with a very sharp pit road attenuator and wall just to his left there. He will hit pit lane now and serve that penalty, as well as get some tires and fuel on that car. Martin Sproul popping in the background. We're going to see some more of our two-stop strategy drivers coming on in.
Still amazed we have not seen Ortega come on down. He's starting to stretch it out, I think, a little bit longer than he needs to in that team machine. He's getting currently swamped by the battle we saw him with Cabot, Gagnon, and Ronos.
Well, I think what
actually, I just
sorry
heard him call out that he's coming in.
Yeah, I think what I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think what he is trying to do is sort of match the other drivers around him, because he saw those drivers get by him on fresher tires. So I think he tries to want to get a little bit closer to their strategy. But I think going the other direction, as Bowers has done, isn't really a bad idea. So with just over 20 laps to go, Bowers will cycle out to be the race leader. For how long is the question?
Yeah, it's good. That is going to be the question. And he's just hoping and praying this entire run. We do not see a caution. We haven't seen one since
the pace car pulled off earlier today. We haven't seen one.
So he's just hoping that it never comes in, never shows it face again, or at least for the next 17 minutes, because he's poised to be taking the lead of the race.
Bowers has had a lot of really rotten luck. He's had a beautiful cherry red Coca-Cola paint scheme on that car. Maybe the paint scheme change is all he needed, if he's as superstitious as AJ Stravato was a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, actually, a fun fact about Brandon Bowers, his highest finish is 5th 4 times.
Oh, I hope that we don't jinx him, because he was running 5th when he came to pit lane most recently, so if everything cycles out, that would put him exactly back there. We'll see if he can improve on that. Up front, Horn and Stravato still leading. Horn's going to try to go to the end of the race, and I wonder if he's saving fuel right now, Finny. He might be able to breathe the throttle a little bit now that he's controlling the pace.
If he's not saving anything, he definitely needs to start, because as we saw that earlier on, these guys cannot really go much further beyond. They definitely can't go past 45 laps. They're all just a little bit shy of it, so he's got to save just a little bit extra gas, considering the fact he came in on lap 43, so he's got to save 2 extra laps.
He's being fairly gentle with the throttle applications now, so I have to imagine that he's trying to save something. Again, it's really difficult when you're out up front. Bowers has climbed up to 14th, and he's already dropped about 3/10 off of his best lap of the race, so that tells me that tires are starting to burn off already, even though he's only been out for 7 laps. He's still got to go 22 more.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider the fact that he's running still 2 seconds a lap faster than the guys up ahead of him, and their situation's only going to get worse. It's just not even all I remember. He doesn't even really have to drive on by them. I doubt any of them, except for maybe Jeff Wright or Casey Lakatos, can make it to the end on the single stop that they're running on.
There is the other Ford Mustang. We haven't even looked at this car yet tonight. There's Eddie Trejos. Amazon Prime, number 21, started 16th, running 21st. Not really been a night to write home about for Eddie Trejo. And given that this is a home track, I'm sure he'll be a little bit disappointed in the effort this evening. Alex Bell hits pit lane. Yusuf Ghali will follow him down. And for Casey Lakatos, remember, he's on the one-stopper strategy. I wonder where he will cycle out in relation. I mean, again, we know he can go farther than Connor Horn. We're going to see if there's anybody else. There's Jeff Wright. These two are sort of on the same strategy before, and I wonder if they're working together here to maybe save a little fuel.
Probably, I would imagine so, and they're in a much better boat than the rest of the guys on the stretch. You've only got to save really 1 or 2 extra laps of fuel in there. I can hear Lakatos and can hear them going past the screen as well.
Just heard the wind as the 50 car went by the turn 1 wall-mounted camera. Angelo Ronis is on pit lane. Wonder if Wright is doing the same here. Yep, doing the exact same thing as the 50. They are not working together via radio, I know that. They're just sort of kind of in a similar boat, and I think they know that working together is the strongest way to accomplish what they want to do. Stravato's in with 20 laps to go. Connor Horn leads by a lonesome 5.3 seconds, but he is going to have to try to stretch this fuel all the way to the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm honestly going to be astounded if he can, because I haven't seen any signs of fuel saving out of the 3.
So,
but I mean, he's impressed us a lot of times in the past. I don't see why he can't do it again.
So my concern here is that you're leading the points by 12. Why take the risk? Why do that? I mean, if this goes wrong, Connor Horn is going to finish buried in the order and give up all of his points lead in one race. And that is too risky a move for me. I would have just done the 2-stop strategy. Even if it was a top 5, top 7, top 8 night, that would certainly be a whole lot better than potentially finishing 15th to 20th.
Yeah, and look up where he's going to come out of the pit. If he pits now, he's going to come out about a 3 or 4 seconds off of Alex Bell, who we just saw get around him based on their pit road deltas. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see, how this is going to really play out with the 3, because at this point, I don't see him winning the race. To see a bunch of other drivers, but not exactly that 3-car taking home the checker flag.
Do you remember Reggie Ortega and Brandon Bowers, how they kind of came together? There was a big slide down there through turn 1. Ortega is now about, about 15 seconds behind Bowers? I mean, it's just an enormous differential. Like, Bowers is still in a really good spot. And he's got a little bit of help from behind with the 21. They're sort of working together right now. And Bowers is back up inside the top 10 as it stands. He's only going to climb from here with 17 laps to go.
Whoa! I just saw Alex Bell get really loose. He was running really hard on the apron in the middle of 3 and 4.
To look. Oh, big slide there. Probably a bit more controlled feeling in the car than it looked from the outside. These cars have quite a bit of downforce, so probably looked a lot scarier than it actually was.
And looking at Bell, he's made his second stop, so he's down trying to catch up to Bowers. He's about 9 seconds behind that 31 car.
Yeah, so that's the car that I think I'd be watching. I think Reggie Ortega's not really in as good of a position as Bell. Bell just came to pit lane, 9 seconds back. This is the driver that could beat Brandon Bowers and probably will beat him because he's a little closer than I thought he was.
I'm curious what Brandon's going to be doing up ahead as we got. I don't think it's going to be enough time. He's going to make up, almost 9 seconds in 15 laps. That's a bit of a tall order.
But it goes pretty quick. We saw the lead that Bowers had dwindle very fast towards the end of the run.
Look up ahead. Ahead of Bowers, and there's a massive amount of cars ahead, and this is what's going to slow him down.
Now, Connor Horn hits pit lane from the race lead. Bryce Calusa takes over. Oh, Connor Horn hit pit lane. 2-stop strategy for the 3, and I guess he's given up on it. I didn't even register when I first said that.
I was going to say, I'm not too terribly surprised from that. I'm just surprised at how kind of off sequence he was coming down the pit road. That's going to cost him quite a bit, I would imagine. You see Bowers trying to navigate through this slower traffic.
Yeah. You know what? It might have just been a dash and go, 9-second stop, so maybe you're just right sides for the 3. And that actually isn't a terrible strategy. Maybe not my favorite, but not the worst one that he could have done.
And again, I think he needed to do something with how late he came in. He needed to make up time somewhere.
Well, I don't understand why he did this. This was a bit of a lapse in strategy, I think, for the 3. So a mistake, potentially, as Bryce Calusa hits pit lane.
And Brandon Bowers gets past Jeff Wright again, a notable car who we think can go all the way to the end on 1 stop. So Bowers now up to 4th.
14 laps to go next time by for these drivers. And the question becomes, how far ahead of Alex Bell is he? And it's
just about a straightaway, pretty much. Looking at about 6-7 seconds.
A lot of gain for Bell the last couple laps. A lot of loss for Bowers. A 42.8 is not a very fast time. He needs to be running down in the low 42s if he wants to have any chance at hanging on to this lead to the end of the race. What would help Brandon Bowers is if we get a caution flag as soon as he gets to the top spot. If we get a caution flag, Brandon Bowers is in a great spot to win this race.
Yeah, he comes back across the line, goes a little bit quicker, but yeah, he was just saying not exactly where he needs to be as Bell's sitting down mid 41s at the moment.
Yeah, he's just flying right now. He's gained a ton of time the last little bit. So Bell is in the middle of turn number 2, and Bowers is only about halfway down the backstretch.
got a very, very close call there trying to get past Halpern, and Butler did not lift off the gas as he just powered on through past them.
Now, is anybody left? Whoa! AJ Stravato up the middle as the 6 car hits pit lane. Only a handful of drivers left that haven't made their stop at the top of the order. Adam Cabot and Bailey Turner, both of which I do believe will have to... Oh, yeah, Cabot will definitely have to come, and Bailey Turner will also definitely have to come here very shortly as well. They are running out of time. So Bowers has only about a 2.5-second lead. I think he's pretty much out of the question at this point. You can see Bell approaching. And Bell has just been making a whole bunch of time, and Bowers just struggled to get through some of the traffic and has now burned up some of the tire.
Yeah, I think that's really the big difference, I think, in this Bell. I think outright being a little faster than the 31.
Again, a caution flag would save that 31 car right now. The 48, real tight at the exit at turn 4. I just don't see us getting a caution flag with people this spread out.
Alex Bell going to try to throw it up the inside of the 16 of Clifton Cockrell will indeed get on by, and now it's just him and the 31. Clean track between them both.
Another second game, and you can see the 31 right up the road. That will be the battle for the lead here. And it might not even... Bowers might not even get a taste of the lead if the 2 in front of him don't come to pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps. And I think that's what Cabot and Turner are trying to do, is just open prey for a caution flag at this point.
I guess I mean, honestly, it's not too terrible. I mean, considering the fact, if I'm not mistaken, Turner, I don't think is in the playoffs.
Turner, I don't believe it. Oh, he is. He's got a yellow banner, so he is in.
Oh, he is, okay.
Cabot is in as well. And again, this is a risky strategy. There's a lot of risks being thrown around tonight, and I'm not sure that everyone's is going to work out.
Yeah, and I was going to just say, if they weren't in the playoffs, I think you don't mind as well at that point. In fact, you're pretty much going for wins.
Cabot is saving fuel. There's no way.
Well, both of them have been saving a lot of gas, but again, they've also been giving up a lot of time doing that as well.
You're not going 48 laps on fuel. I just don't see that even being a remote possibility.
For third place, here comes Bowers, and here comes Alex Bell to the inside. Stravato as well.
Yeah.
Stravato, this is going to be a fight essentially for the lead once they sort themselves out.
Yeah, and Bowers just didn't have the pace tonight to be able to make that strategy work. And I think he was beating up the tires a bit too much as well. But for third, he mentioned it, Stravato and Bell battling for what will be the top spot, because there's no way on God's green earth that Cabot and Turner are going to get all the way to the end of this race. But Stravato to the top spot.
And how about that? I thought Bell was going to be able to run away with this, but Stravato came up out of behind him out of nowhere and took the lead of the race. It will cycle out to take the lead of the race again. I expect Cabot and Turner are going to have to make pit stops at some point.
And so then you have to wonder, Stravato's got, what, 3 wins this season? Most recently, I believe, at Rockingham?
I want to say yes to that. Let me double check. No, Chicagoland.
Chicagoland, that's right. We haven't been to Rockingham. Oh, yeah, we did. That was our second round of the season. So, yeah, it was at Chicago a couple weeks ago. And so that was his 3rd win of the season. He won both Daytonas. And, again, he seems like he really does well on these big tracks. And right now, he's running away from Bell. And what a championship contender. That would lock him in as certainly not maybe the favorite, but one of the favorites. Certainly a better pick right now than Yusuf Ghali, who started off the season with also a trio of wins. But it seems like Stravato's been much better much later in the season than the 54 has. And the 3-car of Connor Horn has been mighty good lately, but not quite as good as Stravato in the late going in these races.
I will say, even with Connor Horn coming down to pit road, he might not get the win, but looking at getting a really solid finish still. As he's running right behind the 54, and again, got some pressure tires to boot as well.
I think it was the 2-tire strategy that really saved him there. Had he gone all the way for 4, it would have been a big waste of time, I think. So he's actually probably going to end up with a top 5 out of this, because he's easily going to catch Bowers in all this. I've actually just gone by him. So they're going to catch the drivers in front of them, I think, and Horn will be at least inside the top 5, if not higher up than that as he goes by the 54.
Actually, the next 2 guys ahead of him are Alex Bell and AJ Stravato, and not too terribly up the road. There you see them right there. So I would be amazed if you can get them just with fresh right side tires, but we'll see here in these closing laps.
That would be a deficiency of the tire model, I would think. That you can run down guys on 4 tires with 2, with all the aero and everything, but Might happen.
And also up ahead of there, you saw for a brief second Bailey Turner come into frame. He's just trying and hoping that a caution comes out somewhat soon before he has to make a stop down the pit road. That's going to drop him significantly down the order.
Yeah, he needs a caution now. The 21 got a bit of a right side contact there from the 6. That was almost a caution, but it's not going to be. And Turner is going to peel off, and it's like he's going to stay on the racetrack, but he desperately needs the yellow.
He's committed.
Yeah.
He's committed at this point.
And saving fuel every little bit that he can. Adam Cabot still hangs on to the lead. Engine off in that car. It's a 6-second gap up to AJ Stravato, but there's no way.
No, he's giving up more than a second a lap, and again, with the amount of time we have left, it's gonna be kind of close, but not close enough.
3 wide on the back straight here. With the 24, the 3, and the 15. Move Connor Horn to third. Connor Horn is only 8/10 back from AJ Stravato. He could win this race.
Somehow he always manages to do this. I think we underestimate him too much, but I mean, there's a reason he has 7 wins this season. He's trying to make it number 8 here. If he can catch up to Strado in the few laps we have remaining, 5 laps to go.
It just seems like it doesn't matter what strategy he can do. He can take 1 tire and take 1 gallon of gas and make it last for 50 laps and be the quickest car out there while he's doing it. It's just, he is a magic man out there in the number 3 as he works over the 21 of Eddie Trejo, and right in front of him, that will be the driver that will be the race leader. Again, Adam Cabot is giving up time like nothing else, and there's just no, again, I don't even think he's going to make it to the end. I don't see that being possible.
If he does manage to do it, props to him for pulling this strategy off. But it's been just one question if he can make it to the end. It's the second question, can he still hold the lead? That's I think the question we definitely doubt.
That's a lot to ask out of that car. I just don't think that's in the cards for him today. But AJ Stravato has got a mirror full of Connor Horn, and this again will be the battle for the race lead if Adam Cabot has to pull over or runs out of fuel.
I cannot believe he's caught back up to him and is set past him here. He comes with a massive run down the back straight. He's going to have a look up to the inside.
It's not even going to be close. Connor Horn through to second. 4/10 better than AJ Stravato last time out. On 2 tires, 2 right side tires, he's making it work. And he's through into the spot, the catbird seat, for when Adam Cabot runs out of tire, fuel, or time.
2.6 seconds between Connor Horn and Adam Cabot, especially at the race that Horn is running. I think they're going to catch him in quite a hurry unless Cabot can pick up the pace here and still save some gas. He's gone really long, has gone over 44 laps, has gone 45 laps now on his stint.
Yeah, there's just no way. I just don't see this. Again, I would be absolutely shocked, and I can't see it. I mean, he's now down to 2 seconds, 2 laps to go this time by. Even if he gives up less than a second a lap, he's still going to get caught by the 3, and that's if he can run full tilt all the way to the end, which we know cannot possibly be the case. 2 laps to go at Fontana, 4 miles left for Connor Horn to run down a 77 that is running on fumes at the front of this field.
Pick up the pace just a little bit. You can see him running right behind and gagging up ahead, just hoping he gets some sort of draft, some sort of savior as the 3 is closing in.
I'm going to tell you, it's going to be mighty close. If the 77 can make it at this pace, it's going to be very, very close. 1.3 seconds is the gap. Adam Cabot trying to make somehow 45 laps of fuel turn into 48 as he comes across the start-finish line. White flag is in the air for Adam Cabot. Can he stretch a drop of fuel for 2 miles? I don't see how it's possible, but he's going to try. 2 miles left at Fontana, and Cabot is counting every foot. Connor Horn is in second. He's won 7 times this season. The championship leader and the favorite running down the 77. He's got all sorts of fuel in the tank. Half a lap left to go. Cabot still leads. Will his fuel hang on?
Cabot's out. Cabot's out. He's sputtering down the back straight. There you see him pull off to the side. Here comes Connor Horn.
And it's out for Adam Cabot. A mile is all he needed, and it wasn't there. Connor Horn somehow makes 2 tires worth better than 4. Magic Man comes out of turn number 4. Checkered flag in Fontana. California kid Connor Horn is going to bring it home, and he'll be victorious in Fontana. And AJ Stravato going to come up just shy in second place.
He's going to line up in third. And Alex Bell gonna come home a little bit disappointed, was also set poised to potentially win this race. Gonna come home forward. Brandon Bowers with his two-stop strategy, which we thought was the ideal one, gonna settle for 5th.
Well, and you know what that ties, Finney? His best finish for the 5th time.
Oh no! We did it! We did do it! I can't believe it! Oh man, he's gonna hate us.
Minecraft fireworks firing off the back straightaway. They're the new square style.
I thought they fixed this. I guess I don't know why I assumed they did.
Never assume iRacing fixes anything. Connor Horn. It is just magic. I don't know how he does it. He's done it again. It was a little closer than I think he wanted. But for the 77, just think, 1 mile worth of fuel is almost nothing. Anywhere in the run, he could have saved another mile worth of fuel and probably not given up that much time, and it's just the miscalculation by just that much.
He was actually just saying on the radio, they're talking as they were coming across to the checkered flag, that he was set to save that much, but he saw them coming back up on him, the leaders, Connor Horn, Bell, and company, and Servato, and try to kick it up a gear just to try to see if he can keep that lead ahead, and that's where he ended up running out on gas.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to save earlier in the run just so that you have disposable fuel at the end to use if you need it. I think that was his mistake, is that he planned to save it on equal segments each lap, but then when you have to increase the pace, you're going to burn up the fuel that you need to get to the end. But Connor Horn wins. Here is a look at the race results. It's going to be, again, Connor Horn taking home his 8th victory of the season in his 16th start, a 50% win ratio. AJ Stravato second out of Florida, Yusuf Ghali in 3rd, Bowers tying his best finish ever in 5th, Ronis, Ortega, Cabot, Calusa, and Lakatos grabbing a top 10 result. And Lakatos did manage to do it on one stop. So did Adam Cabot on his one stop. So did Bailey Turner and Jeff Wright. They also did it on one stop, as well as Zach Halpern. So it was possible. It just wasn't the race-winning strategy. And Tim Downey Jr. and Zach Halpern, they had a promising start, but 19th and 20th, it has just been a terrible year, and it just continues for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we're wrong if it was a strategy. I guess it was that case for both of them, but they were both, especially Halpern, was running fairly decent earlier on in the race, but yeah, again, just I wasn't sure if it was just strategy or just general lack of pace towards the end that both those cars ended up falling off. Well,
you got Yusuf Ghali waiting in the wings here, so let's talk to him and see how the 3rd place driver managed to get things done today. And Yusuf, today, a 3rd place was all the top 5, getting your championship back on track here, but the 2-stop strategy, it worked out, got you top 5, but I'm sure you wanted a little bit more. Walk us through it.
Well, at the start of the race, I didn't qualify because I figured big draft track, we're going to get a couple cautions here, but that didn't happen. So driving from wherever I started in the back to up to 3rd was a lot of fun, saving fuel at the same time. So I'm just proud that I was able to do that.
It seemed like tonight, Connor Horn has kind of solidified himself as probably the championship favorite, as he's probably been most of the season. But you look at what he did tonight and saved all that fuel and then ended up having to bail out on that strategy, hit pit lane, take 2 tires. Are you most concerned about Connor Horn, or is someone like AJ Stravato, who's quietly been finishing inside the top 5, is that a driver that you're more worried about?
I think it's going to be between AJ and I for a second. I think Connor's going to run away with it here, honestly.
All right, well, Yusuf Ghali brings it home in 3rd. Yusuf, next week we head to the Paperclip, the half-mile racetrack in Martinsville, Virginia. Your thoughts on that track? Can you grab a victory there?
I feel like it's a track that I've always been good at. Last couple seasons I've been running up in the top 2. It's going to be if Connor gets wrecked or not, I think. If he gets wrecked, I think I can win, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yusuf Ghali, 3rd place in the 54 Grid Life Sim Motorsports Toyota Camry. Yusuf, thanks for talking. Moving on now to our 2nd place, or 4th place finisher rather. That's Alex Bell in the number 15. Well, things didn't quite work out. Looks like you had a taste of the lead for a moment, but were eclipsed by a couple of drivers around you. A 4th place result, though. Good day for your chase hopes. Walk us through tonight and the fuel mileage battle and the decision to do the strategy that you did.
Yeah, man. All on top, me, AJ, and Connor, and all those guys were so even on the long runs that I knew the only way I was going to be able to get ahead of them was to short pit them. So on the first pit stop, I short pit them, and got out way ahead of them to be able to lead, I think, at least one lap. And on the second run there, I guess, I saved my tires a lot more than what I should have, I think. And on the last pit stop there, again, I wanted to short pit them, but I just drove my stuff off way too much, trying to keep AJ back. And by the time we got to the last 5 laps, we were just pushing so much. But top 5 is a great way to start off the chase. I'm proud of this team for coming up with the strategy to do that, man. That's awesome.
Well, we head to Martinsville next week, and that's a short track where we actually broke the SimTV caution record out there last time, 25, over 2 dozen. As we head to Martinsville next week, your thoughts on how to stay out of trouble at the half-mile track?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know Bailey's pissed off at me because I blocked him to the grass on the first lap of the race, so that's probably not doing myself any favors going into Martinsville. But it was fun last season, given with all the wrecks. I like going to a track where you can beat and bang at, so should be fun. Hopefully we can stay out of trouble.
All right, top 5 run for the 15 of Alex Bell. Alex, thanks for talking. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, boys.
Sure thing. Moving on now to our second place runner, AJ Stravato, who's got a handful of victories this season, came up 0.4 of a second short. I called Connor Horn Magic Man tonight, AJ, because he made 2 tires somehow work. But again, a really strong run for you tonight. Your championship hopes are still very much alive. As you came out of this 2-mile track here at Auto Club Speedway, walk us through tonight and the race you had there at the end with all the different strategies.
Yeah, that was really cool to see all the different strategies. My entire plan, the entire race was to get up front and just save tires and avoid the mayhem. And I did that for a little bit, just couldn't save it towards the end. But strategy, I thought I had a good one. I thought I was going to be ahead of the game, and I don't know how the 2 tires worked for Connor, but I looked after the race and the left side tires weren't wearing at all. So if I had known that and the left sides weren't like engaged in the track, I would have tried that. But props to him, he made a great call. And if you lose like that, you just got to tip your cap.
Well, it was a really impressive run for the 3, but also a good run for you. We look forward to Martinsville next week, and then we head to Las Vegas, Indianapolis Road Course on the 1st of August, and then ISM Raceway to finish out the season. Your thoughts on maybe your strengths and weaknesses over the short track at Martinsville, the Speedway at Vegas, the road course at Indianapolis, and then wrapping things up with Phoenix.
I think if we can survive next week, we'll be okay. Martinsville is a little bit of a tough track for me. I've never been great there, but I'm a pretty decent road racer. I think I'll be all right at Indy Road. In the next 2 tracks, I think Phoenix and Las Vegas are, to kind of save the tires. I think those tracks fall into my favor. So we'll see. Just got to take it 1 week at a time.
All right, AJ Stravato, second place tonight, AJ. Nice job tonight, and you led 13 laps en route to a second place result. We'll see you next week in Martinsville.
Absolutely. Thank you for the broadcast, guys.
Sure thing. Moving on now to Connor Horn, Magic Man in the number 3 car tonight, the Good Wrench Service number 3, the patriotic scheme adorning the side of it. I don't know how you did it, Connor, but every single time we underestimate the strategy, and you made it work. Walk us through not only the decision to try a one-stopper, then maybe to bail and take 2 tires and end up winning the race.
It was after the first stop I realized I wasn't going to make it on fuel. It was saving. I couldn't save enough. It was like 3 laps short. I felt like I couldn't save enough. So I was going to initially pit with like 3 to go and take a splash, and then everyone pit around lap 70 around me, and I realized I was losing a lot of time. I was like, this isn't going to work. So I came down the pit. And the lap before I came down the pit, I took a look at the tires, and I realized on the first run, they didn't really wear that much. And so that was the only way I was really going to save enough time from staying out laps too many. And so I took 2 on the 2 right sides and just enough fuel to make it. And it was really fast. There really wasn't any fall off compared to 4 tires. And because I pit so much later than the guys who took 4, I was able to get by them. I was able to get by Bell and Yusuf, and then I was able to muscle my way a little bit around AJ, and then it was a race to Adam. I couldn't believe he saved that much. I think he had to save like 4 laps on that run to even have a chance, and I think he pit a lap before me on the first run. I think if he went the same lap as me, he would have made it and he would have had the race won, but he started sputtering out of 2, and I was just yelling at the top of I was just thinking, like, how did I win this? Because I thought I was screwed after I had to take 2, but it was fast enough compared to the 4, and I somehow just magically won that one.
Well, he magically won this one, and we head to Martinsville next week, and then we head to a couple different tracks. We head to Vegas, Indianapolis Road, which I think you'll be very good at, and then we head to Phoenix to round out the season. You take a look at your competitors, Stravato, Gali. Which of those 2 do you think is probably the one you need to beat the best, and which of the 2 are you worried about that could actually beat you?
I know AJ knows a lot about how I race, how I run, so he could probably find something extra, like especially at a track like maybe Indy and the Roval to get some tenths and stuff there. He's a big threat. Yusuf's always a threat at road courses. He's pretty good at Indy. Phoenix is definitely his best track, so it's going to be tough beating him there, but I feel pretty confident. I remember in the one championship that I lost, there was a lot of bad tracks in the chase, and I feel like this chase really is kind of perfect. I love Indy, love Phoenix. I absolutely love Martinsville, but you have to avoid the wrecks there, so I feel like if I just stay out of all the BS that happens outside maybe the chase, outside of maybe the top 10, if I can stay out of all those crashes, I think I should be in good shape regardless of who's chasing me.
Connor, congratulations on your 8th win of the season. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week at Martinsville. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, that's going to wrap things up here, Finian, on Sim TV. What a race we saw. Connor Horn, AJ Stravado, Yusuf Ghali, our championship favorites, finding their way to the top of the grid. But how about Brandon Bowers? We need to get him somewhere higher than 5th because this has got to just be painful at this point.
Yeah, it really was, and especially because we both thought that he was going to be on the best strategy. But again, we're saying, from a road side of things, typically want to have it nice and evenly spaced into cookie cutter stints. But showing that again on it really does matter really on your pace as a driver and how you're able to maximize it too, not just the full on paper that says that coming into this time will give you the best of the tire life, and then Connor Horn and Stravado and company just showing exactly that. And still, even with Bowers falling back to 5th and Stravado and Bell taking up, I'm still amazed that Horn was able to make that call work, and even he didn't realize that would work out in his favor, as Stravado pointed out, that the left sides were not wearing out as much.
Super impressive run. I don't know how he did it, but Connor Horn comes out again with another race victory. We'll be back with you on next Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, for round number 19, chase race number 2 of the Outsider Racing League Championship from the half-mile paperclip in Martinsville, Virginia. Tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m., is going to be the Weekend Warrior Spec Racer 4 Championship. They'll be headed off to Donington Circuit tomorrow at 4. Then Monday night, it's going to be the 3-Wide Racing League Grand National Series. They'll be wrapping up their season finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday off. Then Thursday, got a new championship. It's going to be the Scars Porsche Cup Series. That will be headed off to their first round on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Sim TV.